Welcome to the spring performance, for the first time on Zoom, by the members of the senior players of the OSHA Lifelong Learning Institute, affectionately known as OLLI, located in Portland, Maine. My name is Elizabeth Guest, and I am the artistic director of this Readers Theatre group. There are 14 members of our troupe, 9 of whom are participating in this production. We're all seniors, a word that tends to make me grimace, with varying degrees of experience and training in theatre, but all with an avid interest and a passion for participating in the fun and hard work of performing. The term Readers Theatre can have different iterations. For some groups with a more formal approach, all performers are dressed in black and stand behind music stands in a row across the stage, their scripts on the stands in front of them. For others, it is more informal. There may be costumes used, or there may not be. Music stands may or may not be used, and basic props might be set on the stage space or not. But in all instances, scripts are not memorized, but are read by the actors. Our group has a less stylistic approach in that a minimum of props, makeup, and costumes are used, enough to give some nuance to a scene, but not to overwhelm the reliance on the script. Utilizing Zoom has presented some challenges, to say the least. But we have risen to the occasion for the most part. So please, sit back with your favorite beverage and your favorite company and enjoy. Thank you. House of Mirrors, written and performed by Stephen Squires. A man's fears and fantasies about the House of Mirrors attraction at the carnival.
I would like very much, but oh no, it's quite impossible. I dare not go into the House of Mirrors with you. I would like to be with you, but I'm afraid I would get lost in there and never come out. I have heard stories of people going into these places and never heard from again. Maybe they were abducted or killed by some strange bloodthirsty demon. Oh, Jesus, that's awful. I'm afraid I would just get lost and die of starvation, and they would find my decayed remains some years later, and I could not be identified. So I go down in history as Sam Watson, missing in action at the carnival, of all places. What a legacy to leave behind in this world. Maybe I could go through a different doorway into another world, a parallel universe, never to be heard from again. I like this scenario a lot better than the previous one. This way, maybe I could find another portal to return to this world, and then maybe someone could find me a way out of this maze of mirrors. Anyway, I will never know what happens beyond this doorway because I ain't never going in.
O'Connell's Wager, published anonymously in the Boston newspaper The Pilot in a St. Patrick's Day edition of 1860 and taking on a life of its own thereafter, performed by Denny and Richard Welsh. Biddy Moriarty, a Dublin huckster of the first degree, is a fixture on the wharves of the River Liffey. Her shady business practices exceeded only by the finely honed edge of her tongue. Daniel O'Connell, a cocky young lawyer known among his mates to have a silver tongue, or a masterful gift of the gab, and visiting the city of Dublin, accepts a drinking bet from said mates as to whether he can beat the harridan at her own sport.
What's the price of this walking stick, missus? What's your name?
Moriarty, sir, is my name. And a good one it is. And what have you to say again it? 1 and 6pence is the price of the stick. Does it's dirt it is.
1 and 6pence for a walking stick. Oh, why, you're not better than an impostor to ask 18pence for what cost you 2pence.
And your grandmother. You meant to say it's cheating the people. I am. Imposter indeed.
I protest as I am a gentleman.
The likes of you, a gentleman. Worship of God, that bag's Gallagher. Why, you potato-faced and sneezer. When did a Madagascar monkey like you pick up enough of common Christian decency to hide your Terry brogue?
Easy now, easy now. Don't choke yourself with fine language, you whiskey drinking parallelogram.
What's that you call me? You murdering villain?
I call you a parallelogram. And a Dublin judge and jury will say it's no libel to call you so.
Here and out. Oh, holy Saint Bridget. Oh, that's an honest woman like me should be called a Paddy Pellegrim to her face. I'm none of your Paddy Pellegrims, you rascally gallows bird, you cowardly, sneaking, plate-licking blackguard.
Oh, not you indeed. Oh, why, I suppose you'll deny that you keep a hypotenuse in your house.
It's a lie for you. I never had such a thing.
Why, sure, all our neighbours know very well that you keep not only a hypotenuse, but that you have 2 diameters locked up in your garret, and that you go out to walk with them every Sunday. You heartless old heptagon.
Oh, hear that, you saints in glory. Oh, there's bad language from a fella that wants to pass for a gentleman. May the devil fly away with you, you meckers from Munster, and make celery sauce of your rotten limbs, you mealy-mouthed tub of guts.
Oh, you can't deny the charge, you miserable submultiple of a duplicate ratio.
Oh, rinse your mouth in the liffey, you nasty pickle pincher. After all the bad words you speak, it ought to look dirtier than your face, you dirty chicken of Beelzebub.
Rinse your own mouth, you wicked-minded old polygon. To the deuce I pitch you, you blustering intersection of a superficies.
You saucy tinker's apprentice. If you don't cease your jaw,
As I have a tongue, I'll abuse you, you inimitable periphery. Look at her, boys. There she stands, a convicted perpendicular in petticoats. There's contamination in her circumference, and she trembles with guilt down to the extremities of her corollaries. Oh, you're found out, you rectilineal antecedent and equiangular old hag. Just with the devil you'll fly away, you porter swiping similitude of the bisection of a vortex. I've won me wager, lads. It's off to the pub for those 2 pints you'll be on me.
Mistress of Ceremonies, written and performed by Cheryl Squires. A woman attempts to give her first speech at a Toastmasters meeting and talks about herself rather than giving the speech.
A little drink of water.
Let's welcome our new fellow Toastmaster, Cheryl.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and friends. This is the first speech I've ever given, so I am a little nervous. And I thought I would start this out by giving you my full name. My name is Cheryl Marie Muriel Gagnon Libby Johnson Barter. I got it. Grant Squires. I know that's a lot of names, and actually, it's not just me who has a hard time. Not just other people have a hard time to remember, but I have a hard time to remember my own names. Like last week, I went to the doctor's office, and you go to the doctor's office, and they want you to sign your name in, and so I did, and I wrote Cheryl Barter, and the nurse looked at me like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh hell, that was 3 husbands ago." And it's not, and it isn't just me that forgets. My brother, I have a brother and a sister, and they end up by sending me, giving me a phone call every time it's my birthday or holiday, Christmas, and they ask me, "Well, what last name you got now?" And this last year, my brother Bud ended up by sending me a Christmas card, and he gave up with calling me and trying to figure out what my last name was. So he sent me a Christmas card with Cheryl, ? And you've noticed I have been married a lot of times, 6 times to be exact. But I can tell you that they were all difficult men. One of my husbands was such a pain in the butt too. We ended up getting not married. We ended up by getting separated 7 times. 7 times. We'd break up, and then I'd take him back, and we get back together, and then we'd break up again, and then I'd take him back, and then we break up again. He'd drive me crazy, and I'd take him back. But I want to tell you that it actually did finally all work out. He died. And I can tell you that, if you notice that I do have the two last names, Squires. And the reason that I have those last names is because I had to marry, believe it or not, had to marry my dead husband's uncle. I mean, I live in a small town, up north in Maine, and there was nobody in the whole town to marry, or even the whole county. So I just had to suck it up, and I had to marry Uncle Vinny. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, boy, oh boy, I bet it's not the husbands. I bet she's hard to get along with. Absolutely not. No way am I. No. Well, maybe I do have a few little quirks to my personality. After all, I do have an addiction, and I've tried to quit thousands and thousands of times, and I would go to a 12-step meeting, but they don't have any for my addiction. I guess what I should probably do is just testify right here and right now to all of you. Yes, I am a bubble gum chewer. Don't laugh. It's not funny. I have no power over bubble gum. It rules me. I chew 3 to 4, sometimes even 5 packs a day. We're not talking those little packs that have 4 pieces of gum in it. We're talking they got 15. And, I can't stop. Once, in order to get bubble gum, my gum, I walked 1 mile. That's 5,280 feet both ways on crutches. And I'll tell you something, that was some hard going on crutches. But I had to have my gum. And then another time, I was kind of short of money. and I had to choose between having my bubble gum, or feed my kids. So I looked at my kids and their little chunky bodies, and I thought, oh, hell, they can all lose a little weight. So I got the gum. I mean, why not? Another time, I was going to go for this important job interview. I was a nervous wreck. I kept popping one gum in my mouth after another. And I just, I ended up having about 9 pieces of gum in my mouth. Then all of a sudden, it's my turn. I'm like, oh, no, what am I going to do? Okay, so look at my pocketbook. Nothing to put it in there. And then I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't go in there with all that gum. And so then I looked down at my cleavage. That was it. Stuck the gum right into my bra. I'll tell you, that interview went really well. And I totally forgot about the gum. So that night, and I'm getting undressed, I go take my clothes off, and I go take off my bra, and I can't. It's stuck to my chest. And what am I going to do? So I pull and pull, and I have to call my husband in. He has to yank the bra off me with about 3 or 4 layers of skin. And I can tell you something. It's not just that. I forget everything. The truth is, I have ADD. And I know all of you think the ADD stands for attention deficit disorder. Wrong. It stands for always doing dumb shit. Dumb shit is one word in my vocabulary. When you have ADD, you forget everything. I forget my appointments all the time. I'll have 3 appointments in 1 week, right? I totally forget 2 of them. And then the third one, I remember at the last minute, and I end up by being 20 minutes late. But you do other dumb shit like that. Well, for instance, one time I locked myself out of my house wearing only a robe and slippers in a major rainstorm. I had to go beating on my neighbor's door to be able to, call the janitor for me. When you're 20, a clinging robe might look cute. But let me tell you, at this age, it's not a pretty picture. And then to make matters worse, the janitor charges me $57 to open my door. They say the ADD people are creative geniuses. I say, hell, we have to be. With all the scrapes we're always getting ourselves into, believe me.
That's your 5 minutes, Cheryl.
What? What do you mean?
You've given your speech. Your time is up.
No, I haven't even started yet.
Let's give her a big hand, everyone.
This episode of Senior Players has been brought to you by Beetle Battery, a division of General Improvement Company. Do you drop your hearing aid batteries? Are you losing thousands of dollars a year on lost batteries? Then Beetle Battery will change your life. Hearing aid customers are raving about what Beetle Battery does for them. Smaller than a robot vacuum cleaner, Beetle Battery can circulate freely under sofas and chairs. It finds and sucks up those tiny batteries in seconds. It automatically tests the battery and then places it into good or bad compartments. So you can empty the bad batteries and dispose of them responsibly. The good batteries can then be used again, saving you money, which makes the cost of the Beetle Battery a bargain at $59.60. But this offer will not last forever. Call now and receive a docking station for Beetle Battery at no extra cost. Call 999-899-299, extension 599. Again, 999-899-299, extension 599, and ask for Larry. Now, back to Senior Players.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Halo is the shampoo that glorifies your hair. So halo, everybody halo. Halo shampoo, halo.
Brill cream, a little dab will do ya. Brill cream, you look so debonair. Brill cream, the gals will pursue ya. They love to get their fingers in your hair.
Good. Good. That's what Campbell soups are. Good.
See the USA in your Chevrolet. America's asking you to call. Drive your Chevrolet through the USA. America's the greatest land of all. On a highway or road along a levee, performance is sweeter. Nothing can beat her. Life is completer in a Chevy. So make a date today to see the USA and see it in your Chevrolet. Mwah.
We Made It Through, written by Gary Macready and performed by Gary Macready and Susan Pickford. This scene takes place in the living room of an upscale home owned by an older couple who are both retired CIA operatives.
Hey there, lady. A penny for your thoughts.
Oh, what?
You look lost. I said a penny for your thoughts.
A penny for? That's one of the most trite and overused phrases in the Oxford English Dictionary of worn-out cliches. Is that all my thoughts are worth to you?
Well, I've got 43 bucks here. How many thoughts will that get me?
Touche.
It's just that you've been so quiet, so pensive recently. This is the second or third time this week that I've found you sitting there just looking out that window. What's going on? What's out there?
Oh, nothing. It's just that for some reason I've been in a reflective mood. I've been thinking about our life together over the years, all the things we've experienced, what we've done, the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the surprises. I can't forget those. Just when you think you got it all figured out, along comes a surprise.
Well, I think we've had a great life. We made it through.
I'm not saying we didn't. It's only that there have been so many times when we had everything going right. We had all our ducks in a row. Then something came along to scatter those ducks to high heaven.
So look what we did for a living. Working for the company can't be what you'd call a normal career. It wasn't like I was sitting in an office selling insurance while you were taking care of the kids full time at home. If our bosses wouldn't listen to us, was that our fault?
I know. It's just that the kids took so much time.
Look, if you're thinking about Beirut in '83 and all those Marines, well, that wasn't our doing. We told them our intel was almost absolutely reliable. We warned them something was brewing. Hell, we were lucky to make out of that one alive.
You're right. And I've got that shrapnel scar on my leg as a reminder.
Then what? Oh, wait. I'm not taking the blame for the Trade Center in '93. You shouldn't either. You've got to remember the day we went into the assistant director's office and flat told him that one of those towers was a probable target. Al-Qaeda was looking to make a statement by taking down one of the biggest symbols of American capitalism. Well, he did everything but laugh in our faces.
Again, I couldn't agree with you more. I'll never forget the smirk on the AD's face as he ushered us out and told us to have a nice day. The nerve of that pompous bastard.
Well, okay, that leaves the USS Cole bombing. We had that one down too. Even the target itself. We had absolute proof it was going to happen.
Henry, I'm on your side, okay? But that's not what I've been thinking about.
Then what is it? Something I've done?
No, it's the kids.
The kids? I don't get it, Lucy. We raised 3 great kids. No major problems. Now, Amanda's one of the best criminal defense lawyers in the country. Brian's the top cardiologist in Boston.
Yeah, that is amazing, especially when you think we had to put them in boarding schools and send them off to your parents for the summer.
I don't feel guilty about that, Luce. It's not like that, we could be there when they got out of school every day. When you're on assignment halfway around the world.
I was thinking of Tim.
Tim? What about Tim?
Well, for starters, he was one of those surprises I mentioned, a big one too.
I'm not sure I get where you're going here.
Oh, come on, Henry. Don't you recall that just after we got engaged, we sat down and planned everything? Where we'd live, saving for retirement, committing our lives to the service of our country, how many children we'd have?
Oh, yeah. We planned on having 2, a boy and a girl, spaced about 6 years, 3 years apart. And it worked out just like that.
Well, almost. Then 6 years after Brian's birth, we decided to make Paris our working vacation. The wine, the food, those strolls along the banks of the Seine, the Louvre.
And that one special night at the hotel. Maybe we shouldn't have done the hashish.
The hash was great. So great, we completely forgot about using protection.
Well, I figured by that point, we didn't have to worry about birth control. For whatever reason, I forgot why. I thought you weren't physically capable of,
And I was under the impression you'd had a vasectomy.
Oh,
And you had taken care of it while we were in London.
I know. I got to the clinic and kind of chickened out the last minute. I was going to tell you, and I am sorry.
Okay. Don't be. Your pregnancy was a bit difficult. Still, it was a joy being a new mom again with Timmy. After all, it was the reason I needed to cut back on the field work a bit and become something like a real mother.
I get it, Lucy. It's just that I detect something in your voice, something that's causing you to stare out that window.
It's just that Timmy was, how do I put it, a bit different.
Different? What do you mean? I never noticed that much out of the ordinary.
How could you, Henry? You were still on the road and in the middle of one crisis or another. And here I was in suburbia trying to be June Cleaver.
All right. So tell me, how was Tim different?
Look, Amanda and Brian were, how do I put it, easy to manage. Never a problem with either one. They always got good grades in high school. They were popular, born leaders. Amanda was on the student council all 4 years.
Yeah.
Brian was elected class president twice, and their grades made them shoo-ins for Yale and Cornell. They both had a clear vision of what they wanted in life, and those visions became reality.
And you're saying Tim wasn't any of that?
He had his abilities. It's just that, well, what kind of kid forms a street gang in a gated community? They didn't just toilet paper trees and egg houses on Halloween. They loaded all the neighbors' pumpkins with firecrackers, whether or not they handed out the treats, just to watch the parade of police cars coming in with their lights flashing.
Well, you have to admit that was kind of funny.
What about the time he organized a hunger strike in the school cafeteria? He told the head dietitian that if he wanted to eat slop, he'd get a job on a hog farm. And then there were the fights. Oh, I must have been called into the principal's office at least 5 times while you were away.
Well, I do recall picking up the newspaper one morning. The headline on page 1 read something like, "School lunch program to undergo major changes." And as far as the fighting, I asked him about that once. It turns out he was beating up the school bullies. he couldn't stand to see them harassing the smaller kids because nobody was doing anything about it, he decided to step up.
But again, you were gone so much. It all fell on me. It wasn't easy.
I know, but Tim hated injustice. He didn't like to see people suffer. He rated on them. So while Amanda and Brian were all wrapped up planning their careers, Tim decided to take up karate and judo.
What? I didn't know that. He told me he was taking tap dance lessons. Henry, why didn't you tell me?
Because I thought you had enough on your plate. I didn't want to worry you. Besides, he turned out all right. He eventually did find his path in life, just like Amanda and Brian.
I know. Sometimes, though, I wish it had been a different path. I still worry about him.
Lucy, he's doing just fine. I'm sure he wouldn't try anything that would jeopardize his safety and well-being. Well, I'll just bet that he, oh, hang on. Phone's buzzing. Hello? Oh, Tim, this is a surprise. We were just talking about you. Yeah. How are you? Where are you? What? Really? Say that again? Oh, no kidding. Wasn't that just something? And you're okay? What? Tonight? All right, we'll do it. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
That was Timmy?
Yeah.
Why didn't you let me talk to him?
He said he only had a minute. He had just returned from a mission and was about to board a plane. He'll be home in a couple of days and he wants to see us.
But you sounded so surprised, almost awestruck. What did he say?
He said to make sure to watch TV tonight for a special announcement from Obama.
Why?
Well, his exact quote was, "We got the bastard."
What bastard?
Oh, who do you think? Who has this country been hunting ever since 9/11?
Oh my God, you mean Bin Laden?
Another.
Oh, all of a sudden I'm hungry. Can we go to DeMillo's? I really could use a stiff drink and a rare steak.
I'll start the car, babe.
I guess Timmy made it through.
We all did, Lucy. We all did.
Mortally Fine, written by William Sibley and performed by Elizabeth Guest. After the sudden death of her most recent husband, a thrice-divorced Texas heiress returns home to reclaim her latest true love. We meet her as she is telling him the tale of what might be called her most recent marital mishap. Irv and I were still on our honeymoon in Las Vegas when he fell off the stage at the dunes and broke his neck during the Mitzi Gaynor show. She's so dull in that Mitzi. She'll never see 50 again, but honey, she's got a figure on her a high school girl would envy. I've always been a fan of Mitzi's. Well, in a way, I guess it's my fault that Irv fell off the stage. He wanted to go over the sands and catch Shecky Green, and I said, oh no, if there's no singing and dancing and pretty girls with feathers and jewels, and I'm just not interested. Well, Mitzi's got this little number in her act where she invites a couple of men out of the audience to join her in a conga line. It's real cute. And I just insisted that Irv get up because I'd brought my little Instamatic and I wanted to take some pictures. Honey, that conga line, it grew longer and longer and wilder, and Mitzi's just tearing around that stage like a cat with her hair on fire. I'm standing on my chair trying to find Irv in the viewfinder, and the next thing I know, all hell breaks loose. there's 71-year-old Irving Leibowitz on the tail end of the longest, wildest conga line, swinging around in front of the orchestra going 40 miles an hour. Last thing I saw was my husband waving at me as he flew overhead over the table, wearing a grass skirt and one of Mitzi's earrings. All I could think of was, "Shalom, y'all. It's been fun." Naturally, Earl's lawyer and I sued Mitzi and her raggedy-ass little show, sued the Dunes for negligence, sued the city of Las Vegas for putting on that and permitting such sordid entertainment in the first place. That was real pleasant. So I'm back in Houston, for the funeral. And Irv's partner, Mr. Klein, you remember Leibowitz and Klein industrial uniforms? Well, that Mr. Klein comes up to me and wants to know if I intended to sell my share. And I say, "What share?" Then Irv's first wife and 3 children want to know what kind of Gentile harpy I am for beating them out of their inheritance. And by this time, I am getting hot. So I get home and I call that lawyer of Irv's, and he tells me I got everything from the condo in San Juan to half Leibowitz and Klein and to the matching burial plots in Laurel Land. Honey, by now I'm peeing pearls and I'm thinking, hell with them. It's my money. Irv left it to me. And, well, if they don't like it, screw them. For whatever reason, they didn't seem to share in my newfound happiness. They're suing me. I'm suing them. Their lawyer's suing my lawyer's suing theirs. Mr. Klein is suing Mitzi Gaynor. The first Mrs. Leibowitz is suing Mr. Klein, and the kids are suing their mother for divorcing their daddy. And the jury's in recess for the next 2 years trying to figure it all out. And that, you sweet man, is why I had to get out of Houston for a while. Jack Schitt's family tree. Retrieved from the internet, perhaps originating with the Guardian newspaper in 1999, and performed by Denny. At the monthly meeting of a local genealogical society, a dedicated researcher reports the ancestral details of a family with a rather socially suspect surname.
For some time, many of us have wondered just who is Jack Schitt. We find ourselves at a loss when someone says, "You don't know Jack Schitt." Well, thanks to genealogy efforts, you can now respond in an intellectual way. Jack Schitt is the son of Orr Schitt. Orr Schitt was married to O Schitt, the fertilizer magnate, and owner of Knee Deep in Schitt, Inc. They had one son, Jack. In turn, Jack Schitt married Noah Schitt. The couple produced 6 children: Holy Schitt, Giver Schitt, Fuller Schitt, Bull Schitt, and the twins, Deep Schitt and Dip Schitt. Against her parents' objections, Deep Schitt married Dumb Schitt, a high school dropout. After being married 15 years, Jack and Noah Schitt divorced. Noah Schitt later married Ted Sherlock, and because her kids were living with them, she wanted to keep her previous name, so she was then known as Noah Schitt Sherlock. Meanwhile, Dick Schitt married Lotta Schitt, and they produced a son with a rather nervous disposition who was nicknamed Chicken Schitt. Two of the other 6 children, Fulla Schitt and Gibba Schitt, were inseparable throughout childhood and subsequently married the Happens brothers in a dual ceremony. The wedding announcement in the newspaper announced the Schitt Happens nuptial. The Schitt Happens children were Dog, Bird, Horse, and Steve. One son left home to tour the world. He later returned from Italy with his new Italian bride, Lisa Schitt. Well, now, when someone says you don't know jack shit, you can correct them. Sincerely, Croc O' Shit.
This episode of Senior Players has been brought to you by Where, Oh Where, a division of General Improvement Company. How much time do you spend looking for keys, change purse, glasses, and checkbook? Get that time back by using Where, Oh Where. It comes with 4 colored attachable discs, which you place on the item you regularly lose. Keep the small controller in your purse or around your neck on a fashionable fob. Press blue for keys, red for glasses, green for change purse, and black for checkbook. The item will send out a piercing alarm at regular intervals, allowing you to find them at once. The frustration of the hunt is over, saving you endless hours on the prowl. There are times when you'd pay anything for Where Oh Where, but here's the surprise. At $29.50 a month, it can be yours. Try it for 3 weeks, and if you are not entirely satisfied, return it for a full refund, less handling and postage. For more information or to place your order, call 999-899-499, extension 599. Again, 999-899-499, extension 399. And at Larry's prompt, say, Where, oh, where?
Double your pleasure, double your fun with double mint gum.
Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name, and away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Oh, I love to be an Oscar Mayer Wiener. That is what I'd really like to be. And if I were an Oscar Mayer Wiener, everyone would be in love with me.
My beer is Rheingold dry beer. Look for Rheingold whenever you buy beer. It's not bitter, not sweet. It's the extra dry treat. Won't you try extra dry Rheingold beer?
Can You Spare a Dime? Written and performed by Cheryl Squires. A homeless woman rants and rages about how she ended up on the streets and how people treat her.
Jesus H. Christ. There just ain't no goddamn place to take a good shit no more. I'm telling you, used to be able to use a firehouse, can't do that no more. They pass all these goddamn regulations and stipulations, every other rule and law they can think of. Why? Just to make things impossible. That's why. Bastards. Bastards. What are you staring at? Oh, ain't ever seen a pretty one like me, have you? Yep. Miss America. That's me, Miss America. Walk away, little girl. Just walk right away. Just walk right away. Think you're better than me. Well, you ain't. I used to own me a pretty little house, just like all of you guys. My husband Tommy, he gets downsized. That's hiring kids to do a man's job, in case you didn't know. Downsize my ass. They get rid of the old guys that make the big bucks. He couldn't get a job nowhere. Nobody wanted him. Too old, too tired. Those fucking bankers. They come in, they throw us right out of our house. Right out. They didn't care all them years he gives them. Right out in the yard, I tell you. Where are we gonna go? Getting cold, mighty cold. Hey, buddy, you got any extra change? I could use some nice hot coffee. It's mighty cold. Something just warm me up a mite. No booze, no booze. Just some nice hot coffee. Oh yeah, just walk right on by. Just walk right on by. Just like I ain't even here. Walk right on by. Well, I am here, God damn it! Muriel Marie Stanhope, big as Billy. And if you don't like me here, you can kiss my bony ass. Just because my husband Tommy, he upped and croaked. And he left me all alone. It was their fault, them pricks. He didn't have no place to go. He couldn't make it. He just couldn't take it. It was pneumonia what got him at the end. I take him over to St. Dominic's Hospital, and he dies right there in the hallway. He couldn't even make it to a room. He leaves me all alone. I wasn't able to have no kids, you see. I wanted babies. 2 girls, 2 boys. I'd have been a good mother, I think. But I just couldn't have them. Oh, thanks for the money, mister. Appreciate it. God bless you too. I guess there's still good people around. It's not a bank, I bet. Let's see how much I got today. A little more here. Looks like I got enough. Get me a couple of shots of scotch over Vinny. Maybe a nice little sandwich. And best of all, I'll be able to take myself a good dump in high style. Life is good.
The swim team written by Miranda July and performed by Elizabeth Guest. A woman recalls meeting 3 extraordinary people who changed her life in a remarkable way, simply because she believed in them and they believed in her. I lived alone in Belvedere, this isolated town that wasn't even a town. It was so small. It was just houses near a gas station, and then about a mile down, there was a store, and that was it. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a phone. I was 22. Don't worry. This story won't be very long, because the amazing thing about that year was that almost nothing happened. The citizens of Belvedere thought my name was Maria. I never said it was Maria, but somehow this got started, and I was overwhelmed by the task of telling the only 3 people that I knew my real name. These 3 people were named Elizabeth, Kelda, and Jack Jack. I don't know why Jack twice, and I'm not completely sure about the name Kelda, but that's what it sounded like, and that's the sound I made when I called her name. I knew these people because I gave them swimming lessons. This is the real meat of my story because, of course, there are no bodies of water near Belvedere and no pools. They were talking about this in the store one day, and Jack Jack, who must be dead by now because he was really old then, said it didn't matter anyways because he and Kelda couldn't swim, so they'd be liable to drown themselves. Now, Elizabeth was Kelda's cousin, I think, and Kelda was Jack Jack's wife. They were all in their late 80s at least, and Elizabeth said she'd swum many times and claimed that you had to breathe underwater to swim. That's not true. These were the first words I'd spoken out loud in weeks. You just hold your breath. Elizabeth looked angry and then said, oh, well, she'd just been kidding. Then we all stood there for a little while. I was really enjoying the companionship and hoped it would continue, which it did because Jack said, so you've swum? Well, I told them how I'd been on a swim team in high school and even competed in the state level. They seemed really, really interested in my story. I hadn't even thought of it as a story before this, but now I could see that it was actually a very exciting story, full of drama and chlorine and other things that Elizabeth and Kelda and Jack Jack didn't have first-hand knowledge of. It was Kelda who said she wished there was a pool in Belvedere because they were obviously very lucky to have a swim coach living in town. I hadn't said I was a swim coach, but I knew what she meant. It really was a shame. Then a strange thing happened. I was looking down at my shoes on the linoleum floor, and I was thinking about how I bet the floor hasn't been washed in a million years, and I suddenly felt like I was going to die. But instead of dying, I don't know what came over me, but I said, I can teach you how to swim, and we don't need a pool. We met twice a week in my apartment. When they arrived, I had 3 bowls of warm tap water lined up on the floor, and then a 4th bowl up front of those, the coach's bowl. I added salt to the water because it's supposed to be healthy to snort warm salt water, and I figured they'd be snorting accidentally. I showed them how to put their noses and mouths in the water and how to take a breath to the side. Well, then we added the legs and the arms, and I admitted these were not perfect conditions for learning to swim, but I pointed out that this was how Olympic swimmers trained when there wasn't a pool nearby. Yes, this was technically a lie. But we needed it because we were 4 people lying on the kitchen floor, kicking it loudly as if angry, as if furious, as if frustrated. and disappointed, and yet not afraid to show it. It took Helda several weeks to learn how to put her face in the water. That's okay, I said. We'll start you out with a kickboard. I handed her a book. It's totally normal to resist the bowl, Helda. It's the body telling you it doesn't want to die. It doesn't, she said. I taught them all the strokes I knew. Oh, the butterfly was just incredible, like nothing you have ever seen. I thought the kitchen floor would give in and turn liquid, and away they would go with Jack in the lead. He was precocious, to say the least. He actually moved across the floor, bowl of salt water and all. He'd come pounding back into the kitchen from a bedroom lamp, covered with sweat and dust, and Helda would look up at him, holding her book in both hands, and just beam. Swim to me, he said, but she was too scared, and well, it actually takes a huge amount of upper body strength to swim on land. I was the kind of coach who stands by the side of the pool instead of getting in, but I was busy every moment. If I can say so without being immodest, I was instead of the water, with my meticulous hands-on coaching method. All dives began with perfect form poised on my desktop and ended in a belly flop onto the bed. But that was just for safety. It was still diving. It was still letting go of mammalian pride and embracing gravity. Elizabeth added a rule that we all had to make a noise when we fell. This was a little creative for my taste, but I was open to innovation. I wanted to be the kind of teacher who learned from her students. It was just 2 hours a week, but all the other hours were in support of these two. On Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, I'd wake up and think, no swim practice. When I saw one of my students around town, say at the gas station or at the store, I'd say something like, have you been practicing that needle nose dive? And they would respond, I'm working on it, coach. As I'm here with you now, I know it's hard for you to imagine me as someone called coach. I had a very different identity in Belvedere. I know who I miss here tonight. It's Elizabeth, Helda, and Jack. They're dead now, of this I can be sure. What a tremendously sad feeling. I must be the saddest swim coach in the whole world. Charm, written by Frederick Stropple and performed by Anita Jones, Stephen Squires, and Gary McCready. In a suburban living room, Melvin sits in front of the TV as his wife Leona enters through the front door, somewhat upset and harried.
Melvin, I need some cash. I have to pay the cabbie.
Cash? All right. How much?
Just give me 10. Phew, what a day.
Leona, where's the car?
The car? Oh, I lost the car.
You lost the car?
Well, that's why I took a cab, silly.
Where'd you lose it? In the parking lot?
I didn't lose it. It's just gone.
It's gone? Someone stole it? Did you call the police?
What are the police going to do? I signed it over fair and square. It's all legal.
You sold the car? Signed it over?
No, I didn't sell it. I stashed your dents today. It's just gone. Sam's got it.
Sam? Sam who?
Who's Sam? Sam is a very charming man. I spent an exceedingly pleasant afternoon with Sam.
Well, you spent the afternoon with some fellow named Sam? Doing what?
Oh, please. It was all innocent and above board. He didn't lay a finger on me. And yet, in another finer sense, he touched me to the deepest recesses of my being. Ah,
You know, I give you pretty loose rein when it comes to handling the household affairs, but this whole Sam thing seems a little dicey, and I'm going to have to insist you explain it to me.
well, I suppose I must. I was at ShopRite and in the deli section, and there was this man giving out samples of deviled ham on a cracker. Well, you know, I've never been a strong exponent of deviled ham or any meat spreads for that matter. But this salesman had such a winning smile, and he imparted such a sense of trust that I threw caution to the winds and I took a bite. And you know, it was mouth-wateringly good. I bought 6 cans.
6 cans? That's a bit extravagant, don't you think?
He also sold me a little cheese board set and a case of horseradish sauce.
That was this Sam fellow?
Now, you know, I'm a prudent and scientific shopper, but the way he spoke to me, the personal interest he showed, the certainty in his mind that each one of these items would make a welcome addition to my lifestyle, I just couldn't say no.
A case of horseradish sauce?
Well, then we started chatting in a low-key, amiable fashion, and I found him utterly charming. So much so that when he suggested going for a frappuccino, the notion seemed irresistible to me. And there was a Starbucks right on the corner, and I know how you absolutely refuse to go in there.
Pay $3 for a cup of coffee? Not in my lifetime.
So it seemed to me that this might be my only chance to experience this unique cultural phenomenon. I had a frappuccino.
And this fellow left his deviled ham stand flat?
Well, in retrospect, I don't think he was working for Hormel at all. I think he used that as an opening to get to me.
To get to you? Ha ha!
Oh, stop being so dirty-minded. Honestly, Melvin, your brain is marinated in sewage. He wanted to talk to me, that's all. He wanted to connect with me. And when he flashed that smile, oh, that charming smile, well, I just melted into a puddle. That's the fact. We talked about our lives and our families and our dreams and so forth. Then he walked me back to my car, and that's when it happened.
It?
Well, he admired our Camry, and he told me he'd always wanted one of his own, and he asked me if I would give it to him. And I don't know, it may have been the afternoon heat or the sugar in the frappuccino, but I said, sure, take it.
You said take it?
I said, take it.
And he took it.
Yes.
You know what I think? I think this man's a professional charmer. He's one of those fellows that goes from town to town, charming weak, impressionable women.
Well, I'm afraid I do like a certain spine in my character.
Oh, he struck the muzzleloader on you. I'm surprised he stopped at the car.
Oh, he didn't.
He didn't?
You might as well know, Melvin. Everything's gone. The house, the car, the bank account, my wallet, everything.
You gave him everything?
Well, he asked, and I gave.
But you can't give things away that easily. You need contracts.
Oh, he had contracts. His pockets were full of contracts. I kept signing and signing and signing. After a while, he had to guide my hand because it was starting to cramp.
That doesn't mean any of it's legal. Where were the witnesses?
Oh, he didn't need any. He's a notary.
Jesus, Leona, you are such an almighty twit. Just had to go to Starbucks when I warned you time and time again. Those fucking frappuccinos.
Well, it charmed me, Melvin. Charm is a wonderful, dangerous thing. If you have charm, you can enchant the world. I have no charm. Neither have you. We are two charmless people, and look where it's gotten us.
I think I have a modicum of charm.
No, no, you don't, dear. You have solidity, consistency, and adequate earning power, but no charm. That's
Well,
not.
I may not
that's
have charm.
I found your light of sparkle oddly comforting.
Well, I may not have charm or sparkle, but I have a lawyer, and he'll take care of this flim-flam artist quick enough.
Oh, it's too late, Melvin. He took my blood. The bargain is sealed.
Did you sign in blood?
Yes, but he took it so smoothly, so skillfully, I didn't feel a thing.
He made you sign in blood.
Well, only the last contract. One for my soul.
Oh, for Christ's sake, you sold him your soul? Now that was pretty damn stupid. Now this fellow must have been Satan himself. Don't you realize?
Well, I realize now, although I don't think he's the actual Satan, maybe one of his emissaries.
Devil ham. That should have been a tip-off right there. My God, you always managed to cozy up to the biggest leeches. Your brother wasn't bad enough.
Look, I'm not happy about it either, but what's done is done. What do I need a soul for anyway? It's not like I ever use it.
I don't know about your soul, Leona, but the house is in both our names. And if this character thinks he's sitting in my lazy boy, he's going to deal with me.
Oh, he knows. He'll be here any minute. He wanted to get the car washed first.
He's coming here? All right. What do we need? Garlic and a crucifix and silver bullets. I suppose we're out of holy water.
It won't do any good, Melvin. Once he flashes that smile and suckers you in, there's no hope. No hope. Don't look him in the eye, whatever you do.
Let me handle this, woman. By God, I'm tired of cleaning up all your messes.
Hello, I'm Sam.
Hi.
You must be Melvin.
Well, yes.
You've got a nice strong handshake there, Melvin.
Thank you.
And this is your house. You must be very proud.
I suppose.
Leona tells me you built that porch deck all by yourself.
It
Impressed.
was nothing really.
Oh, come. I can see it's your man of style and accomplishment and uncommon grace.
Well, listen, Sam. These contracts, my wife, it's just not. I don't think we just don't.
Melvin, am I wrong or are you averting your gaze from me?
No, I just have a lazy eye.
Melvin?
Oh, Jesus, he's smiling at me.
Well, look away.
I can't, he's charming.
I understand you have quite the burgeoning stock portfolio.
Yes, I do.
And a sturdy 401k program.
Be strong, Melvin, be strong.
Did you say something, Leona?
Why, no, Sam, not a thing.
Yes, I have many assets at my disposal, Sam.
Including several children, I understand.
And a grandchild on the way.
Isn't that great? What do you say we step out and get some coffee? I know this charming little spot.
That sounds terrific.
I'll drive.
Melvin, try the Frappuccino. This episode of Senior Players has been brought to you by Spouse Finder, a subdivision of General Improvement Company. Ever been in a supermarket or a box hardware store or a large department store and can't find your husband, even with a cell phone? Many people stricken with arthritis give up walking the endless aisles looking and looking for their spouse. Where are they? Vanished? Abducted? Home? Leaving you sitting in the garden center, waiting. Why aren't they using their cell phones, you ask? Charging and left it on the counter. Battery died. Don't let that happen to you. A small, tasteful flag lapel pin on a collar will light up and play God Bless America, allowing you to find your lost spouse even in the busiest market. You can have peace of mind for only $15.66 plus shipping and handling. And the spouse finder pin comes with a long-lasting lithium battery. Why wait? Quantities are limited, so call now. Larry will be waiting to take your information. For more information or to place your order, call 999-899 extension 399. Again, 999-899-299 extension 399. And at Larry's prompt, say spouse finder pin.
I'm a Chiquita banana and I'm here to stay. Bananas like to ripen in a certain way when they are flexed with brown, have a golden hue. Bananas taste the best and are the best for you. You can put them in a salad. You can put them in a pie. Any way you want to put them. It is impossible to beat them. Bananas like the climate of a very, very tropical equator. So never put bananas in your refrigerator. No, 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 no.
You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Pepsodent.
Nestles. Nestle's makes the very best
Chocolate.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
Sylvia, written by A.R. Gurney and performed by Anita Jones and Sidney Lincoln. Kate and her husband Greg live in their new Manhattan apartment, where Kate is quietly delighting in the freedom to work at home with no house full of young children and pets to care for. Greg finds a scruffy, nervy, homeless dog in Central Park. Her tag says only Sylvia, and he, loving the dog on the spot, brings her home to a totally unenthusiastic, busily working Kate. Sylvia tries to break the ice.
Hi. Hi. I said hi.
Go away, Sylvia.
I'm just trying to make friends.
Don't bother me, please. I'm trying to prepare my fall curriculum.
You don't like me, do you?
It's not a question of that.
You don't like dogs.
I like them when they belong to other people.
Prejudiced.
Not at all.
I think you're prejudiced against dogs.
Oh, I'm not prejudiced, Sylvia. When I was a girl, I read the Albert Payson To Whom books from cover to cover. And I watched Lassie on television, and I'm a fan of 101 Dalmatians. And when we lived in the suburbs, when the children were around, we had several dogs. And guess who ended up feeding the damn things? But I don't want a dog now, Sylvia. That's the point. Our last child has gone off to college, and we have moved to town, and the dog phase of my life is definitely over. I've gotten my master's degree, Sylvia, and I have a very challenging teaching job. And frankly, I don't want to worry about animals. So if you will excuse me, I will return to the daunting task of planning how to teach Shakespeare to the inner city junior high school.
Okay, fine, no problem. I'll just stay out of your hair.
Off, Sylvia.
You speaking to me?
I sit off that couch right now.
I'm just relaxing. Can't I even relax?
Now off and stay off.
Easy, take it easy, Jinx.
I'm sorry, but you've got to learn.
I've sat on couches before.
What?
I said I've sat on couches before. I've sat on plenty of couches.
Well, you can't sit on this one.
Hoity-toity to you.
Oh, quiet. I'm working.
Can I at least sit on the chair?
No, Sylvia, off.
Shit, piss, fuck.
This is not going to work, Sylvia.
What do you mean?
I'm afraid you'll have to go to the pound.
I'm sitting, aren't I? Look how quickly I sat. I'm sitting on the floor.
Still, you gotta go.
Okay, I get the picture. I'll avoid the furniture. I'm not dumb.
No, I'm sorry, Sylvia. You're going to the pound. I'm sure someone will come along and give you a nice home.
I've got a nice home right here.
No, now, Sylvia, it doesn't make any sense. Nobody's around all day long. You'd be bored out of your mind stuck in this apartment.
I don't mind. I'll sleep. I'll do things.
That is just the trouble.
Right, I won't chew things. Just show me the rules and I'll follow them. I swear.
We go out a lot. We visit friends in the country on weekends. We see the kids at college.
Oh, I'll come too.
No, I don't want that. I want my freedom, Sylvia. I want my freedom from dogs. Now you'll be much happier somewhere else.
In the pound.
Well, maybe not the pound really, Sylvia. I shouldn't have said the pound. We'll give you to, what is it? Oh, the Animal Rescue League or the Humane Society?
They suck.
No.
They suck. You have no idea what they do.
I'm sure they make every effort to.
Have you ever been there? Have you ever bothered to check them out?
No, but.
The rows of cages, the shitty food.
Oh, no.
The time limit.
The time limit?
They all have time limits. They don't broadcast it, but they do. If someone doesn't bail you out, normally within 5 working days, they put you to sleep.
Sylvia.
They do. They kill you. Listen, lady, it's a tough world out there. I know. I've been there. That's why I want to be here.
Well, Sylvia, I'm terribly sorry, but I really have to put my foot down. What did you say, Greg?
Gus's Diner, a moving experience. Written and performed by Gary McCready. Here's Gary with A Moving Experience.
When my company relocated to the Charlotte, North Carolina area from Alabama in the spring of 1980, I was against it and dreaded the move. I'd been there several times because of the business, and frankly, Carolina did not impress me. To me, the place was backwards and strange. We, however, had to go. At the time, Charlotte was the so-called hub of the industry in which we were involved, NASCAR auto racing. Our weekly newspaper was the only one in existence that exclusively covered that form of motorsports, and both NASCAR and the publication were growing fast, so it made sense to be near the action. Just before we left, a friend of mine who lived in the Tar Heel State pulled me aside one day and said this, "McCready, I know you're not happy about moving, but once you get there and settle down, there is one place I'm going to tell you about that you'll fall in love with totally. He was absolutely right. That place was Gus's 49er, an Italian-themed restaurant owned by a Greek family on the outskirts of town near a major state university. The food was excellent, but the thing that immediately got my attention was the bar. It was in a secluded nook away from the main dining area, and I can only describe it by saying this: think Cheers. Yep, you know, that fictional Boston pub, which is the centerpiece of the 1980s sitcom of the same name. It was an exact replica of Cheers, but it was real. For me, it was an oasis, a place to get away from the job where I could dine, drink, relax, and talk. And just like Cheers, it was frequented by a bunch of regular patrons, an uproarious mix of intellects, freethinkers, malcontents, all with stories to tell, crosses to bear, axes to grind, and opinions that reverberated off the walls. I remember one guy that we nicknamed the professor, who was probably a philosophy professor at the university. He always sat at one corner of the bar. Every once in a while, he'd look up from his drink, make some kind of seemingly profound statement, and then sink back into his cone of silence. Anyway, I fit right in with this cast of oddballs, and they accepted me. The place's owners would let me run a tab if I was short on cash, for they knew I'd pay up in my next visit. The barmaids all knew my favorite meals and libations by heart, and one bartender, who later became a friend of mine as well as one of my freelance photographers, told me that when I was coming in off the road from a long trip to call in advance, and he'd have my drink waiting for me. Someone I'll never, ever forget was Robert D. Bob Rayford, a conservative pundit on a local morning talk and music show. He had a long history of experience with radio and TV broadcasting. He would always end his commentaries on the radio by saying, "Who said that? I said that. I'm Robert D. Rayford." He was, among other things, a notorious cheapskate who would show up, order a 75-cent glass of wine, and then pontificate seemingly forever on the topic of the day. He also never left a tip. Rayford also hated cigarettes. Most of us smoked back then, so when he wasn't there, somebody would say, "Anybody want to see Rayford?" We'd all light up, and as if by magic, he would suddenly appear, wave away the smoke, and begin his usual diatribe. He'd also brag about the many parts he'd had in movies. And it wasn't until years later that I found out the guy wasn't lying. He was an accomplished part-time actor. The odd thing, though, was that we all really liked Rayford. He was a perfect member of the bar's cast. I also met the love of my life at Gus's. She showed up one night, and I was immediately smitten. While she was young and physically attractive, I think the thing that got to me was her laugh. It was hearty, yet musical and entirely feminine. Anyhow, I just had to meet her, but I didn't know how. So I asked one of the barmaids who she was, and my prayers were answered. Turns out they were related. And the next time I came in, there she was. She took a seat adjacent to mine and said something like, "I understand you were asking about me." It was the start of a torrid affair because we hit it off right away. And it lasted for about, 4 months. And suddenly she decided to call it quits and end the estrangement with her husband. She returned to him, and I was left to wallow in despair. My heart was broken. Oh, gee. Oh, mercy, why am I admitting this? Anyway, I could go on forever about Gus's 40 Manor. Suffice it to say, if I could go back in time just once, that incredible place would be my destination. Really, can anyone out there blame me?
Macbeth Murder Mystery. Written by James Thurber and performed by Sidney Lincoln and Richard Welsh. In an English Lake District restaurant and pub, an American tourist, an avid reader, has made the acquaintance of a local man of letters.
Then you do find our English lake country interesting, Mrs. Simmons.
Oh, very. Of course, once you've seen one lake, you've seen them all, I always say.
Your American lakes are, I expect, much larger than ours. You are fond of the lake poets, Mrs. Simmons.
Oh, yes. Although our New England poets are much more direct. They come right out with it.
Houseman is rather direct, don't you think? Of course, you know his first book of poems, A Shropshire Lad.
His people always die so young, even the athletes. Why is that?
Tempo of life in Shropshire, one supposes. I see you have a volume with you. Is it poetry?
No, but let me tell you about it. It was a stupid mistake to make, but it was on the counter with all the Penguin books, you know, the little ones with the paper covers. And I suppose, of course, it was a detective story. All the others were detective stories. I'd read all the others. So I bought this one without looking at it carefully. You can imagine how mad I was when I found out it was Shakespeare.
Oh dear.
I don't see why the Penguin people had to put out all the Shakespeare plays in the same size and everything as the detective stories.
I think they have different colored jackets.
Well, I didn't notice that. Anyway, I got real comfy in bed that night and all ready to read a good mystery story. And here I had The Tragedy of Macbeth, a book for high school students, like Ivanhoe.
Or Lorna Doone.
Exactly. And I was just crazy for a good Agatha Christie or something. Hercule Poirot is my favorite detective.
Is he the rabbity one?
Oh, not. He's the Belgian one. You're thinking of Mr. Pinkerton. He was the one that helps Inspector Bull. He's good too.
I expect that an expert like yourself is often able to figure out in advance the identity of the murderer.
I'm not as smart as Hercule Poirot. At least one of his mysteries had me fooled completely.
Really?
Well, you see, there was this woman standing over the body with a pistol in her hand, and it turned out the victim had been shot.
Open and shut case, I should think.
Oh, much too open and shut. I thought right away she hadn't done it. But would you believe it? She really had. Only she hadn't done it with that pistol. You see, she had switched pistols. And she had done it with another gun instead of that one gun.
I see. A rather well-armed woman, wasn't she? Tell me, did you read Macbeth?
I had to read it. There wasn't a scrap of anything else to read in the whole room.
Did you like it?
No, I did not. In the first place, I don't think for one moment that Macbeth did it.
Did what?
I don't think that he killed the king. I don't think the Macbeth woman was mixed up in it either. You suspect them most, of course, but those are the ones never guilty, or should not be anyway.
I'm afraid that I...
But don't you see? It would spoil everything if you could figure out right away who did it. Shakespeare was too smart for that. I've read that people have never figured out Hamlet, so it isn't likely Shakespeare would have made Macbeth as simple as it seems.
Who do you suspect?
Macduff.
Good God.
Oh, Macduff did it all right. Hercule Poirot would have got him early.
How did you figure it out?
Well, I didn't right away. At first, I suspected Banquo. And then, of course, he was the second person killed. That was good right there, that part. The person you suspect of the first murder should always be the second victim.
Is that so?
Oh, yes. They have to keep surprising you. Well, after the second murder, I didn't know who the killer was for a while.
How about Malcolm and Donalbain, the king's sons? As I remember, they fled right after the first murder.
That looks suspicious. Much too suspicious. When they take it on a lam, they're never guilty. You can count on that.
I believe I'll have a brandy.
Do you know who discovers Duncan's body?
I'm sorry, but I've forgotten.
Macduff discovers it. And then he comes running down the stairs and says, confusion has broke open the Lord's holy temple, and sacrilegious murder has made his masterpiece. And on like that. That stuff was rehearsed. You wouldn't say stuff like that right offhand, would you? If you had found a body? You are right. You wouldn't, unless you had practiced in advance. An innocent man would say, my God, there's a body in there.
But what about the banquet scene? How do you account for Macbeth's guilty actions there, when Banquo's ghost came in and sat in his chair?
There wasn't any ghost. A big, strong man like that doesn't go around singing ghosts, especially in a brightly lighted banquet hall with dozens of people around. Macbeth was shielding somebody.
Who was he shielding?
Mrs. Macbeth, of course. He thought she did it, and he was going to take the rap himself. The husband always does that when the wife is suspected.
But what about the sleepwalking scene then?
The same thing, only the other way around. That time she was shielding him. She wasn't asleep at all. Do you remember where it says, enter Lady Macbeth carrying a taper?
Yes.
Well, people who walk in their sleep never carry lights. They have second sight. Did you ever hear of a sleepwalker carrying a light?
No, I can't say I have.
Well, then she wasn't asleep. She was acting guilty to shield Macbeth.
I think I'll have another brandy. I believe that you have got hold of something there. Would you lend me that, Macbeth? I'd like to look it over tonight. I don't feel somehow as if I'd ever really read it.
Thank you so much for having joined us today. We hope that you enjoyed our show half as much as we did making it. My name is Cheryl Squires, and I am the director of the OLLI Senior Players out of USM in Portland, Maine. In the spring of 2020, we, senior players, were hard hit by the pandemic as we rehearsed every week and performed live. It meant no more rehearsals, no more shows. We kept in touch with each other, but we mourned the loss of our group. That July, I received a phone call from Ann Cardale, who I actually didn't even know. She is the program director for the Maine Senior College Network in the state of Maine, and she asked me if I would be interested in doing a show via Zoom. I was flabbergasted, and I immediately said a big yes, though I knew very little about Zoom. She said that she would help us, and that she did. She has spent countless hours helping us in every way imaginable, putting recorded skits together even so that we could bring this show to all of you today. Believe me, we all owe her a great debt of gratitude. And we were also fortunate enough to have among our senior players a man named Richard Welsh, who just happened to know most of the technical ins and outs of Zoom. He spent many months teaching us Zoom and working with us. Actually, there are times I believe he actually reached sainthood with all of us with our senior minds just not getting it. But we did learn it, and we also owe him so many thanks for all the hard work that he did for so many months. And lastly, but definitely not least, we have a woman in our group who has a degree in theater and was a professional actress, Elizabeth Guest. Elizabeth has been the artistic director for our group for a few years now, and she agreed to take on the unknowns of directing us for our show on Zoom. She not only did a tremendous job, but she treated us and did it with much kindness, which takes a special person, as there were many hurdles and obstacles for us to overcome, believe me. We also owe her so much appreciation and have so much gratitude towards her. To any senior player member out there, any senior college member out there, this was a wonderful experience for us. We're so glad that we did it. We are hoping that some of you will do your own Zoom shows as we have done. Remember, we did it first, so we've climbed over the obstacles for everyone. We now have a wealth of experience to draw upon and can answer questions for any help that you might consider. I thought that I would tell all of you.
Cheryl, your time is up.
What are you talking about? I haven't even started yet.